The Jacksonville Jaguars did not just rise fast, they changed the whole fear level around the AFC South. Nobody was supposed to look at this team and see a problem this soon. One year, they were buried near the bottom. The next year, they were standing on top of the division with 13 wins, a new voice in the building, and a roster that suddenly looked like it knew exactly who it was. That is the part that should worry people. A lucky team makes noise for a few weeks. A real team comes back with the same core, the same belief, and even fewer signs of panic. This is where the story gets interesting, because Jacksonville did not act desperate after the breakout. They did not chase every loud name. They did not rip apart the room. Liam Cohen kept the offense moving in the right direction. Grant Udinski gave Trevor Lawrence a cleaner structure, and Anthony Campanile kept building a defense that plays with real bite. Then you add Travis Hunter into the bigger picture, and suddenly this roster does not feel like a cute surprise anymore. It feels like a team that already knows the league is about to study them, and they are still comfortable running it back. But the real question is not whether the Jaguars improved. The real question is why they look so calm while everyone else is trying to catch up. Because hidden inside this offseason is a message most people missed. The quarterback is healthier, the receiver room is deeper. The defense has a sharper edge, and the move nobody talked about might be the exact move that makes everything click. Before that hidden piece matters though, everything still starts with one player. Trevor Lawrence has to prove last season was not just a hot stretch. He has to prove this is finally his version of the team. The scariest thing about Jacksonville is not that Trevor Lawrence got better. It is how normal it started to look. For years, every mistake around him became a quarterback debate. Every late throw, every forced ball, every quiet drive turned into another question about whether the talent was ever going to match the name. Then the structure changed, and suddenly the same arm looked calmer, faster, and more in control. That is what a real system does. Liam Cohen did not ask Trevor Lawrence to save every snap by himself. Grant Udinski helped shape an attack that gave him cleaner answers before the pressure arrived. The ball came out with purpose. The reads felt sharper. The offense stopped feeling like survival and started feeling like a plan. When a quarterback with that kind of arm no longer has to chase miracles, the whole team feels different. The huddle settles, the sideline believes, defenses feel the rhythm before they can break it. But this section is not about comfort. It is about pressure. Because now Trevor Lawrence has no old excuse left, and that is a good thing. The protection is steadier, the calls make sense, the confidence is back. If he keeps playing on time, Jacksonville does not need chaos to win games. They can beat teams clean. And the biggest reason that can happen is standing outside the numbers, waiting for the next throw. That is where the receiver room starts turning this story into something dangerous now fast. The real stress on defenses starts when Trevor Lawrence looks outside and no longer sees one answer. He sees options. That is what makes this Jacksonville Jaguars receiver room different now. Parker Washington is not just a nice story anymore. He became the steady spark, the player who kept drives alive and punished soft coverage. When a receiver climbs from the background into trust, quarterbacks feel it fast. Then Jakobi Meyers changed the room in a quieter way. He did not need noise to matter. He brought timing, strong hands, and the kind of calm route running that helps a quarterback breathe when the pocket gets messy. That matters because Lawrence does not need every target to be a home run threat. He needs someone who wins the down. Myers gave Jacksonville that piece, and the offense started looking less random. But the ceiling still sits with Brian Thomas Jr. His rookie season showed how dangerous he can be when healthy. Then injuries slowed the next chapter and made people question the rise. That question is still sitting there. If Thomas gets back to winning deep and attacking the ball, this group changes shape. Suddenly Washington is not forced to be the main punch. Myers is not carrying every tough catch. And Travis Hunter does not have to be rushed into offensive pressure. That balance is what makes the next part dangerous because the defense is built to match it. The defense is where Jacksonville stopped feeling like a nice story and started feeling like a real problem. Anthony Campanile did not build a unit that waits for mistakes. He built one that chases them. You could feel the difference in the way bodies arrived at the ball, fast, angry, and connected. That kind of defense does not just protect the lead, it changes how an offense breathes. It starts on the edges, where Travon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen give this front its punch. When those two are right, tackles cannot relax, quarterbacks cannot sit still, and every long third down starts to feel smaller. But this is not just a star power story. Walker brings size and force. Hines-Allen brings pressure and finish. Together, they make the outside dangerous enough to bend a game without needing a blitz every snap. Still, the one concern was sitting inside the pocket. Devon Hamilton gave Jacksonville a strong base, but the rotation needed more bite in the middle. That matters because edge rush only becomes deadly when the quarterback has nowhere to step. This is the part most people missed. The Jaguars already had the attitude, they already had the edge heat, they already had the defensive voice. What they needed was one more piece inside, and that hidden answer is where the offseason starts getting serious. And once that happens, the whole front becomes harder to predict, harder to block, and much harder to survive late in games when legs fade. The move that changed Jacksonville's front did not arrive with bright lights. It came quietly, while most people were still arguing about bigger names. Jacksonville sent Mason Smith to the Atlanta Falcons and brought in Rook Orhorhoro. And that swap matters because it attacked the one place this defense still needed more force. Not glamour, not noise, just a cleaner fit. Rook Orhorhoro gives Anthony Campanile another body who can crash the middle instead of letting quarterbacks step up and breathe. That is the hidden value. When Travon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen win outside, the pocket cannot have a soft escape lane inside. Devon Hamilton already gave them power, but now the rotation has more strain, more push, and more ways to wear down a line before the fourth quarter even starts. Then the draft added another layer. Nate Boerkircher brings tight end size for heavy looks. Albert Regis gives the interior another young battler. Emmanuel Pregnant adds guard strength. Jalen Husky, Wesley Williams, Tanner Koziol, Josh Cameron, CJ Williams, and Zach Durfee all point toward the same idea. This roster is not chasing flash first. It is stacking useful pieces, then letting competition decide who sticks. And that matters because the next part of the story is not about one trade. It is about why Jacksonville stayed so quiet while everyone waited for a splash. That silence was not empty. It was the plan showing itself clearly. Jacksonville's quiet offseason was not weakness, it was control. Fans wanted noise because noise feels like progress, but the Jaguars acted like a team that had already learned its own truth. After a division title, they did not need to prove they were active. They needed to prove they were disciplined. That is harder and less fun for headlines. James Gladstone and Liam Cohen watched the market move, then refused to chase every expensive fix. That matters because good teams can ruin a strong roster by paying for comfort instead of fit. Devin Lloyd earned his big chance with the Carolina Panthers. Travis Etienne Jr. earned his new deal with the New Orleans Saints. Jacksonville respected both exits, but it did not panic. That sends a message inside the locker room. If you produce here, your value rises. If the price moves too high, the team still protects the bigger plan. Now the pressure moves to the next wave. Ventrell Miller has a chance to grow beside Foysad Oluokun. Branson Combs becomes more than a depth name if he earns trust. Bishal Tutin steps into a larger backfield role, with Chris Rodriguez Jr. giving the room a physical edge. None of that sounds flashy, and that is the point. Jacksonville is betting on development, role clarity, and belief. But if this quiet plan works, the next piece of the roster becomes more strange, because Travis Hunter changes the shape of the secondary. The strangest part of this roster is Travis Hunter, because he forces every opponent to prepare for more than one version of Jacksonville. He is not just a corner, he is not just a weapon. He is the rare player who can change how a coaching staff thinks during the week. That kind of piece makes a normal game plan feel unstable before kickoff. In the secondary, Monteric Brown gives Jacksonville the kind of steady outside answer teams need when the schedule gets ugly. Jordan Lewis brings experience, toughness, and slot confidence. Jarrian Jones gives the room more movement and matchup flexibility. None of those names need to be sold like stars for the group to matter. The value is in the way they fit together. When the corners can hold their jobs, Anthony Campanile can stay aggressive without exposing the back end. That is why Anton Harrison also belongs in this story, even on the other side of the ball. His fifth-year option keeps the right tackle spot stable, and stable protection keeps the whole plan alive. Jacksonville is building layers, not just headlines, a rare two-way talent, a corner room with answers. An offense protected well enough to stay on schedule. It is getting harder to find the obvious weak spot, and that leads straight to the real question now. Is anyone in the AFC South actually ready to chase this from week 1 again? The AFC South is not sitting in neutral anymore. It has a target, and that target is Jacksonville. Last season changed the room because the Jaguars did not just win enough games to survive. They forced every rival to measure itself against their speed, their balance, and their confidence. That is a different kind of pressure. It follows teams into camp. The Houston Texans are the real threat because CJ Stroud gives them belief every week. Nobody should treat Houston like a side story. They are close enough to make this race uncomfortable. The Indianapolis Colts still have talent that can punch above expectation when things line up. The Tennessee Titans are building around Cam Ward, and that gives them a fresh reason to think bigger. But hope is not the same as control. Right now, Jacksonville owns the cleaner picture. That is why this season feels like a test of status, not surprise. The Jaguars are no longer sneaking through a side door. They are standing in front, waiting to see who can actually move them. Trevor Lawrence has the structure, Travis Hunter adds the strange factor. The defense has enough teeth to make every division game feel heavy. So the question is simple. Is Houston ready to take the crown back, or did Jacksonville just become the team everyone in the South has to chase for real now?